The Flat Earth Conspiracy. So, before I share my thoughts and wisdom about this subject, let's hear from one of the leading conspiracy flat Earth experts.
And you got to do that for this flat Earth thing, because you think you've got so much evidence and proof, and that the Earth is a spinning ball. You've seen it from NASA. You've heard some proofs that your teachers have given you. You've seen the globe on the desk for years, but in fact, the horizon, for instance, is always completely flat. The horizon, for instance, is always completely flat.
So I don't know if you're trying to deceive on purpose or if you were deceived yourself. Either way, you're wrong. Because the truth is, the horizon is not flat at all. And I don't need to use any of the manipulated NASA photos to prove it. I've been teaching esoteric wisdom for over 10 years, and I am also a qualified graphic artist. Therefore, I am very good at analyzing digital photography and film.
The horizon, for instance, is always completely flat.
You see, that's actually a completely false and wrong statement 100%. The dynamics have to do with relevance to size and perception. You see, when you're looking at the horizon and you think and you believe and assume that it is indeed straight and flat, you are actually 100% wrong. And that's why you can get any photo that you personally take or off the internet, whatever, of sunsets and horizons, and you'll always get a true essence of the level by the water level. And when you make a straight line from edge to edge of the water, every single time you will always find that the mid-L, the middle, will always rise above because of the arch. So go ahead and you can measure the edge. Drag that line or measure the middle with the exact same measurements on any picture you take or you find, and you will always find that the middle will always rise above the 2 points of the edges. It's funny because years ago I actually tested this and did this myself just because I was curious. But like I said, grab any photo that you've taken or you find off the internet and go ahead and match up the edges, and you will find every single time that the middle will always rise above, ever so slightly. Because the arc of the Earth, because of the roundness of the globe, and thus the reason that every single picture that you assumed was flat was actually slightly rounded and arced. And that's exactly why this guy right here does not take the red line to the edges of his pictures that he's trying to convince you of that are flat. Because when you look at the edges, you'll see that if you continued those lines, they will prove that indeed they are not flat whatsoever, but are curved and arced ever so slightly. So I used his graphics, and you see he lined up the middle, and then when it came to the edges, he realized himself that it was actually slightly starting to taper off because of the slant and the curvature of the Earth. So in galactic proportions, the Earth is a small world. But to the tiny human's eye, the perception is that it's gigantic. It's a perception of truth, like looking at this picture right here. Our human eye shows that A and B are completely different in shades and color, but the truth is that they are exactly the same. Therefore, once again, our mind's eye has been tricked from the truth. So the truth is relevant to one's perspective. So we can all agree that this is a flat plane, and yes, I made sure that it was exactly 100% flat. You see, but one's perspective is relevant to size. So the human perspective is relevant to size. in the microcosm and the macrocosm of truth. And the truth is that those so-called flat lines and horizons are not flat whatsoever. Exactly like this so-called flat line that I created, and we all agreed was flat. Because to this relevant size, it is flat. But the truth is, this is actually taken from zoomed in way, way, way on this big circle, this big, round, curved, circular object.
But think about it. If you're on a ball, over a ball, no matter how big that ball is, you shouldn't be able to see the horizon out your plane window. Now, some people think that they see the curvature of the ball out their plane window, but in fact they're just seeing the curvature of the glass because the windows are all slightly curved to fit with the fuselage, and when you look at the horizon through a window like that, it does give a slight effect.
You can start shoveling the bullshit. He's actually trying to say that the reason that the Earth looks curved is because of the glass inside of an airplane? That's complete bullshit. Because when you're looking out a window of an airplane, nothing is distorted. Even the wings are completely normal. Remember I told you the truth is simple and that lies are very complex? I mean, I can't believe all of these manufactured bullshit lies. You see, they're trying to convince you that when you're looking out a window in an airplane, that the horizon line is eye level. And that's not true whatsoever. You see, and that's exactly why they had to actually cut out that window and place an image there, because they will not find one that will show and prove what they're saying, but I can show and prove you exactly what I'm saying, because this is manufactured and the truth is not. So here is the first fake cutout background and fake horizon line. And then here is another one they're trying to convince you exists. You see, they're trying to convince you that this guy is looking out eye level and that he sees the ground and a little bit of clouds, which is complete bullshit. It's faked 100%, because the truth is, had they got a real eye view and not real eye level, they would see nothing but blue sky and clouds. I live in Hawaii, so I fly quite often, but obviously this guy doesn't. The deception is amazing. I mean, this guy claims that the plane flies level with the ground and the horizon is always flush with the eye level, which is complete bullshit. So that's why they had to fake these scenes they're showing you and have him looking out vertically like at a 90-degree angle, and what does he see? Oh, land in the horizon, which is complete bullshit. The truth is, when you're flying in a plane, you look out vertically at a 90-degree angle, you will see nothing but blue sky. You have to look down to see the horizon, which he lied about. You have to look down to see the land, period. The horizon line is not directly at a 90-degree angle straight in front of you at eye level. It's not whatsoever. It's down. You have to look down to it. This is just another misconception of what people don't realize about the ratio and relevance of the size to the perspective. So Mount Everest is like 30,000 feet, tall, and when a plane flies, it's like, what, 30, 40,000 feet, roughly the same. In other words, in consideration and relevance to the size of the Earth, you're not very high up at all. But when you do get higher and look at the Earth, you can't even see Mount Everest, because of the dynamics of different sizes and their perspective ratios. So what you see and what you believe is relevant to your size and the subject. And the funny thing is that the example that he is even using doesn't even show and match what he's talking about. It actually goes against. He isn't able to achieve the fakery at a level enough to actually be accurate. Let's read some of this bullshit. The problem is Dave's line of sight is parallel with the ground and is not looking down at the horizon. What a crock of shit. I mean, look at the line that he's drawn where the horizon is. It's down by his chin. It's not at eye level whatsoever. And keep in mind that this is a faked photo even. He actually manipulated that and brought the horizon up already from the truth and the reality of where it really is. I mean, this is hilarious. He says that the curvature of the Earth that you see out the window must be due to the curve of the glass of the window of the airplane. Are you freaking kidding me? This guy is either deceived or is deceiving, because he knows nothing what he's talking about and doesn't know anything about parallelism versus the perspective of the human eye. Just because you perceive the street getting closer together as it gets farther away does not mean it's so. It's still parallel the entire way. This parallel effect is the same with the horizon and how high you are in a plane. Thus, what true 90-degree eye level is and what you assume it is are two different things. Like I said, true eye level at a 90-degree angle straight out the window, you would be seeing blue sky. You have to tilt down to an angle to look down at the horizon and the earth below. And remember, when you fly on a plane, your window is above the wing level. And that's why when you fly in an airplane or a jet, a commercial airliner, when you're flying up in the sky, you'll always see that you're looking over the plane wing, and you're looking down at the wing, and you're looking down at the horizon, and you're looking down at the earth. So that's why they forged this photo and had to fake the scenery outside, because it's not real. Because if you really got parallel with the person's eye view, like I said, it would be clouds outside. Everything this guy is showing you is actually completely wrong and proves what a novice, innocent, ignorant, sorry, but researcher he actually is. His amateur understanding of size dynamics in relationship to the perspective viewpoint is astonishing. I mean, if you were a 50,000-foot person, yes, you could see angles like this. Just like I explained, that 30,000 foot of Mount Everest can't even be seen from up here. So a gigantic mountain is barely poking up on the Earth's surface. Not even noticeable. Imagine a human perspective or an ant perspective. Of course it seems flat, because humans are so minuscule in comparison. So no, the horizon is not flat whatsoever. It's only perceived that way because of our minuscule size compared to the size of the Earth. In fact, the horizon line, by the way, actually proves that the world is not flat whatsoever. Why do you think there's an abrupt line there, like an edge? Because that's the edge of perspective. That's the edge of the Earth, so-called, the curvature of the Earth. Because if it was flat, there would be no line of the horizon. What's the horizon? If something's flat, it's going to continue on forever. What's the difference between the halfway point and 3/4 point and all of a sudden horizon point? What's so special about that? Because that's the curvature of the Earth, where it tapers off, so-called edge of the Earth. So like I said, if it was truly infinite and the flatness continued forever, then there would be no horizon. It would just continue forever. We would see a gradual decay of viewpoint eventually, but it would be gradual. It would be a gradient. It would not be abrupt and like an edge, like a horizon.
Level. If water is dammed up and then released, it will flow out in all directions until it becomes level again. But on a spinning ball Earth, we would have to have oceans that were hundreds of miles of curved water. And this is impossible. I mean, they can't show you any example of this happening, but they claim this is what's happening on the Earth.
Again, the water is not truly 100% flat. It's the perspective and the relative size once again. When you're in the correct perspective viewpoint, you'll see that the oceans are not flat whatsoever, but are indeed slightly curved.
Of curved water. And this is impossible. I mean, they can't show you any example of this happening.
Sorry guys, this guy has no grasp whatsoever of basic physics. But water is all about curvature, not straight angles. This surface water tension test clearly shows how the water bulges over the edge or the ledge, forming a curved arc. It forms a rounded curvature effect. And of course, water itself is just related to roundness and circular, physical formation in general. The truth is, water naturally forms into a globe, into a circle, into a sphere, because it's the shape of Mother Nature. Exactly like a bubble.
It looks like a drunken amoeba, but once let go, it wobbles its way toward becoming spherical.
A sphere, round like a ball. It will be a bubble cube. Time for the bubble cube. Jump!
Sorry kids, the natural formation will form to nature, the round sphere. So water naturally takes the form of a sphere here on Earth, as well as taking a spherical form up in space in 0G. So, like I said, nature doesn't lie, and the natural form of water is a sphere. So to make a long story short, the flat earth conspiracy doesn't hold its weight in water, because the truth never disagrees with Mother Nature. So this is why we find the shape of the sphere in living forms like eggs that create life. Throughout the animal kingdom, the shape of the sphere is how life begins. Which is why the single cell, like the large egg, is spherical. So take a good, vast look throughout the world, throughout nature, and you will find the consistency of the sphere, the natural round shape. So this is why the flora, or the plant life and flowers and even trees, are round, and of course all of the fruit that they produce. So just ask yourself, when was the last time that you had a natural fruit that was flat? The truth is, fruits are spherical, they're round. Thus, once again, truth coinciding with nature. And that's why round spheres are all around us in our world and under the ocean. They are everywhere. So from flying orbs to rocks to hail falling from the earth, they are spheres. They're round, like rocks, or whatever else you can think of, like a rainbow, which is not reflecting the flat earth, but the round spherical earth. Believe me, I'm not backing up the evil elite Illuminati or the, NASA folks either. I'm not backing them up whatsoever. I'm just stating the facts. And the facts in our natural world show us the truth. And the truth is the sphere or the circle. From everything in nature here on Earth to all of the planets and the moons around us.
Lots and lots of compasses. You slide the magnet, horseshoe magnet, right in like this. Slide the removable panel back in, and you can see the magnetic lines of force are very visible.
And all the amateur balloon and rocket footage that we've sent up there shows a flat horizon that rises all the way up. And that's impossible on a ball. No matter how big a ball is, as you rise up, you would have to look down to be able to see the horizon. The horizon would not rise up with you. That's a characteristic of an extended flat plane. And when you're in an airplane, you can see out both windows and you can see the horizon at eye level at 35,000 feet and higher. Both windows. But think about it. If you're on a ball, over a ball, no matter how big that ball is, you shouldn't be able to see the horizon out your plane window. Now, some people think that they see the curvature of the ball out their plane window, but in fact they're just seeing the curvature of the glass because the windows are all slightly curved to fit with the fuselage. And when you look at the horizon through a window like that, it does give a slight effect. And GoPros and traditional cameras, wide-angle fisheye lenses, they also give this kind of effect. So a lot of footage you'll see of the horizon, it'll warp, and sometimes it'll be convex, sometimes it'll be concave, but as the camera stops moving and stops tilting, it will always pan out to completely flat and on level with the camera. Again, this is just impossible on a ball. It doesn't matter how big the ball is.
Incredible. If you actually believe even one word of that, you're gonna slap yourself when you find out the truth. So let's continue to dig through the bullshit mask of lies, and let's get to the truth, because the truth will always surface, and I challenge anyone to prove me wrong what I'm gonna present in this video. And remember, truth to the fool is lies to the wise. And so it's time to school the skull.
No matter how big a ball is, as you rise up, you would have to look down to be able to see the horizon. The horizon would not rise up with you. That's a characteristic of an extended flat plane. And when you're in an airplane, you can see out both windows and you can see the horizon at eye level at 35,000 feet and higher. Both windows. But think about it. If you're on a ball, over a ball, no matter how big that ball is, you shouldn't be able to see the horizon out your plane window.
It's amazing how the Pied Piper can get the people to believe in such illogical nonsense. Unless, of course, you're dumb or even dumber, in which case you would not be able to understandable. You see, anyone that believes in this bull have what I call the smashed face viewpoint. Using their viewpoint and logic, can you explain what this image is? Can you describe what this image is? No, and neither could I, unless you start to take a step back and gain a different perspective viewpoint. Then the truth and the beauty of it is revealed. And of course, this theology applies to the flat-faced earthers. You see, the reason I made this video is because I didn't find just one mistake in your hypothesis. I found that every single thing that you presented from your viewpoint was completely wrong, and I'll prove it and I'll show everyone right now.
No matter how big a ball is, as you rise up, you would have to look down to be able to see the horizon. The horizon would not rise up with you. That's a characteristic of an extended flat plane. And when you're in an airplane, you can see out both windows and you can see the horizon at eye level at 35,000 feet and higher. Both windows. But think about it. If you're on a ball, over a ball, no matter how big that ball is, you shouldn't be able to see the horizon out your plane window.
The shallow grasp and inaccuracies that were just stated is mind-boggling. So for those that were led astray, let me hold your hand and lead you back to the realm of truth.
No matter how big a ball is, as you rise up, you would have to look down to be able to see the horizon. The horizon would not rise up with you. That's a characteristic of an extended flat plane.
What you talking about, Will?
You see, right when I heard you say that it doesn't matter what size the ball is to the viewer's perspective viewpoint, I knew you were either misled or misleading. So in part 1, I covered Flat Earth lie number 1 about the horizon is flat, which we'll be getting back to later. But we're going to move on to number 2. Flat Earth lie number 2 is that the sphere size does not matter. Are the smashed, flat-faced earthers a little short on this concept? Of course size matters 100%. So the ratio or the degree in difference between the size of the ball and the viewer's perspective accounts for everything the viewer sees. So to make a statement saying that the ball size doesn't matter compared to what you're going to see on top of a ball is ridiculous. Everything we see is based upon size ratio perspective. You're actually trying to convince people that if you placed a fly on top of a huge ball, that it's the same perspective that a man would have or an elephant would have? The diameter of the Earth is 8,000 miles, roughly. So if this fly was actually on the sphere of the Earth, it would roughly be around 2,000 miles wide. Huge. Imagine a 2,000 mile wide fly on top of the Earth. You'll notice its large viewpoint area from the horizon to the eye level. So if the ball stays the same size, but the viewer's perspective decreases in size, the outcome will be that the viewpoint will decrease as well. So the smaller the fly gets, the smaller its perspective gets because of its size ratio to the Earth. Are you staying with me? Is that perfectly clear? Because if not, stop and rewind this and play it again until it's perfectly clear in your mind, because this is a very clear concept to grasp and understand.
No matter how big a ball is.
So you have no idea what you're talking about whatsoever. The truth is completely 180 degrees in the opposite direction of what you're teaching. The size ratio has absolutely everything to do with what you're viewing and seeing. So there's no backpedaling at this point. You have stated this in all of your videos, and it's part of your theology and philosophies about the flat Earth. So there's no debating this point. You are wrong 100% about the size ratio and perspective of the viewer. So that's why this fly cannot see around this ball at the chameleon coming behind it. From its perspective, its small ratio compared to the size of the ball, versus our size ratio compared to the ball. And that's exactly why we can see right around it, and our viewpoint can see the chameleon even though it's around the other side of the ball. So in case you're not catching on, the human size compared to the ratio of the Earth size gives us our perspective, which would be like that of a fly on a giant ball. So you see, it's either you have a tiny, small, flat perspective, or you have a larger, wider, grander perception of the truth. And believe me, I'm just beginning to drop truth bombs. You see, there is one thing that the flat-minded, flat earthers are not telling you, and that is the facts, which is exactly why they keep the facts of size and ratio and perspective from you.
No matter how big a ball is, no matter how big a ball is,
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Flat Earthers versus the Sphere Earthers. And up to bat first is the Flat Earthers. Strike one. Strike two. Strike three. You're out.
and all the amateur balloon and rocket footage that we've sent up there shows a flat horizon that rises all the way up. And that's impossible on a ball. No matter how big a ball is, as you rise up, you would have to look down to be able to see the horizon. The horizon would not rise up with you. That's a characteristic of an extended flat plane. And all the amateur balloon and rocket footage that we've sent up there shows a flat horizon that rises all the way up.
Rises all the way up? What rises? You mean the horizon? And what does it rise up to? Eye level? You're wrong again.
And all the amateur balloon and rocket footage that we've sent up there shows a flat horizon that rises all the way up. And that's impossible on a ball. No matter how big a ball is, as you rise up, you would have to look down to be able to see the horizon. The horizon would not rise up with you. That's a characteristic of an extended flat plane.
What you talking about, Rose?
And here is the next truth bomb, which is actually the funniest one of them all, because the logic that he's using and trying to say that the horizon rises up with you as you rise up in the air in an airplane, that it is the indication of an extended plane, which is hilarious. Because it's irrelevant whether the plane below you is flat or round. When you rise up and you look eye level, it will never rise up with you. That is only a perception of size ratio. So saying that the horizon is rising up with you is a complete lie. And saying that you don't have to look down at the horizon is another complete lie. Because it wouldn't matter if the earth below you was round, flat, a rectangle, or a triangle, you would still have to look down at it when you rise up in a plane. Because eye level, if you even understand the concept, which you obviously don't, so I'll explain. Eye level is a 90-degree angle directly out in front of you. Therefore, your eyes do not look up or down, but directly, straight, flat, parallel to the ground. So when you're in an airplane and you're on a plane and you're level to the round or flat earth below you, you can never ever look out eye level and see the horizon. Now, it may seem that way to you, but if you went down 40 miles or 60,000 miles or whatever you want to go to where you think it's different, and you think that the horizon has risen up to your eye level, you're wrong. It's still exactly the same distance below you. So once again, we're talking about size ratio in relationship to the perspective of the viewer. It's no wonder you think the earth is flat. You have no rational and no logical concept of what you're even talking about. But I hope it's clear now and you clearly understand that when you're on a plane, above a plane surface, which means you're on a higher level, which is equal and parallel to the surface below you, eye level will never meet the eye level of the plane below you. No concept whatsoever of what eye level is, and therefore you're deceiving the people. Because if you're truly on a flat surface, explain how that flat surface could be eye level with you anywhere down the road, 100 miles or even 1 mile, when you're on another level, on another plane higher up in the sky above it. How can that flat earth ever reach up to the eye level unless it was bent or unless it's at an angle? And that's why it's shameful to hear you tell lies like the horizon can only be seen if the plane was flying on its side. What complete crap. So that's why the flat-faced, flat-headed earthers don't want you to know about size ratio. But let me put it into perspective. So the average person wouldn't even pick up on your deceptive description of what you're talking about and trying to pass off as truth and understanding, when the truth is you're only confusing and confused yourself as far as grasping the reality of what you're even talking about. So I'll explain what you failed to disclose. So now that you clearly understand that size does matter 100% and has everything to do with one's perspective of an object, so the size ratio means everything. And that is exactly why they keep it a secret and they do not disclose it to you. Why? Because if you knew the truth and understood this basic concept, it would crumble and destroy everything they're saying. So here's the truth that they don't want you to grasp. So the first thing that you should understand about the ball and the round spherical shape of it is that regardless of size, no matter how small or how large, from 1 inch to 50 miles or 5,000 miles, the size of a ball does not matter. The spherical angle will always remain constant. In other words, the viewable arc angle will always remain the same, and the only thing that can change is the level of the viewpoint perspective, either closer or farther away, which increases or decreases the perspective viewpoint. So that you understand, regardless of the size of Earth, the arc angle or the spherical angle remains the same. So the viewpoint is relative to the size ratio of the sphere. So since the spherical arc angle remains the same regardless of the size, it really doesn't matter that we use the calculation Earth diameter of around 8,000 miles. So we know the size of the sphere doesn't matter, that the spherical angle remains the same. So what I did was I took the Earth and we just are going to say that it's 8 inches in diameter. So 1 inch equals 1,000 miles, or 1/8 of the Earth's diameter. So the diameter of the Earth is roughly 42 million feet. So the typical airliner like a 747 is roughly 230 to, let's say, even 250 feet long. So to put that in perspective, it would take over 18,000 jets to fit the diameter of the Earth. So when we look at the actual size ratio of the plane compared to Earth, you can't even see the plane. When looking at the globe, you would have to zoom way, way, way in order to view the jet or the plane. So in consideration of the size ratio of the Earth compared to a 747 jet airplane, the airplane is so small and minute and tiny and insignificant next to the Earth that when you're viewing it like this, you can't even see it. And this is the information that the flat-faced Earthers don't want you to know about, because it's a shame and downright wrong for them to use blatantly false model projections that are tricking and fooling the one that perceives them, deceiving them with completely false and inaccurate claims that in a court of law could be considered a criminal offense. So if these guys were actually honest and respectable, they would have disclosed this information to you. Instead, they blatantly show you false mind programming projections that are completely wrong. Which is why they don't tell you that the plane on top of this sphere they're showing you is anywhere from 1,000 to 2,000, not feet, but miles wide.
And all the amateur balloon and rocket footage that we've sent up there shows a flat horizon.
Wow, you've sent balloons and rockets and gone 22 miles above Earth? Wow, that sounds really far.
So allow me to put that into proper perspective for you, and let's bring the truth into focus. Airliners typically cruise at an altitude of 35 to 40,000 feet, which is roughly 8 miles high in the sky. And of course it feels really far, you're above the clouds, you're way up in the sky. But rockets and balloons have gone up to even 22 miles, which is like over 116,000 feet. which would be the viewpoint if you stacked 19,360 men. And that sounds like a lot, but the truth is, when you put it into proper perspective, in relationship to the spherical arc and size of the sphere, you see that the 8 inches, or the 8,000 mile width of the diameter of the Earth, 1 inch would be 1,000 miles on top of this sphere. Again, in proper perspective, I have placed 1 inch, which equals 1,000 miles, in relationship into the ratio of this sphere. So think about it. The Earth is 8,000 miles wide, and now we're talking about 22 miles. So in other words, when you make a chart or a scale or try to bring the truth into view, you can't, because it's such a vast amount. So actually, I placed a green line which represents 100 miles above the Earth. And I actually put a red line around the sphere here to represent the 22 miles and the 8 miles, but it's so small and minute that you can't even see it because of the size ratio perspective. So what I'm saying is that going up 8 miles or 22 miles in relationship to the size ratio of the Earth, it's nothing. It's not even noticeable. If you look at this Earth right here, you can't even see how high 22 miles is in comparison. So that's why the flat earthers kept showing you images that were way out of scale to the truth. Once again, using the ignorance of the people against themselves. So they don't account for things like distance and perspective viewpoints and the relative size ratios that will allow one to gain the proper and true perspective. So not disclosing this vital information is very important. The eye and the mind work together to try to solve the surroundings, the environment. So sometimes what we perceive is the truth is not actually the truth. Like when we look at this image, it looks horizontal and flat, until we actually get the proper perspective and we take a step back and we look and we find that it's nothing more than just a plain old basketball. And of course, this is the same visual occurrence that we perceive when we zoom into the spherical round Earth, and we find that when we zoom all the way in, it's flat. So the size ratio and perspective, as you see, is very important. So when we're looking up at a plane flying over, way up in the sky, it appears to be very small and tiny. But just because we perceive it that way from our perspective does not mean it's the truth, because the truth is that small little teeny plane we see in the sky is actually a huge airplane.
If you're on a ball, over a ball, no matter how big that ball is, you shouldn't be able to see the horizon out your plane window. Now, some people think that they see the curvature of the ball out their plane window, but in fact they're just seeing the curvature of the glass, because the windows are all slightly curved to fit with the fuselage, and when you look at the horizon through a window like that, it does give a slight effect.
What you talking about, Willis?
Some people think that they see the curvature of the ball out their plane window, but in fact they're just seeing the curvature of the glass.
That was a cute and feeble attempt, but let's bring the truth into focus. So as you're painting that picture and trying to convince people that the airplane window is bowed out and it's curved, I mean, I personally was picturing, like, you know, beveled glass and, you know, it's all distorted like a fisheye, or like a magnifying glass or reading glasses. So you wanted people to believe that the images are distorted, like from fisheye cameras and GoPros, etc. The bullshitter trying to sell his story.
Some people think that they see the curvature of the ball out their plane window, but in fact they're just seeing the curvature of the glass, curvature of the glass, curvature of the glass.
What you talking about, Willis?
You see, and that's exactly why they did not show you any real pictures of actual windows in passenger airliners. Because if they did, they would have exposed the truth to you. That's exactly why they just said it, but could not show you any actual proof. But once again, allow me to show you actual proof of actual airplane windows. And as you see from the real pictures of actual airplanes, you'll notice one thing. They're not beveled, and they're not rounded, and they certainly are not giving a distorted image. So we all picture the fuselage as being round, but the truth is, on the side of passenger airplanes, it's actually flat on the sides. So the windows are on a flat plane and not a rounded, curved, spherical object like we would imagine. So the windows are located on the flat surface of the side of the airplane that is barely curved, if at all. And the truth is that when we look out the windows of airplanes, absolutely nothing is distorted. Everything that we're viewing out airplane windows is perfectly normal. A window cannot pick and choose what it wants to distort. It can't have everything look normal and then choose to bend the horizon and curve the horizon, which is actually flat. No, it looks round and curved because it is.
Some people think that they see the curvature of the ball out their plane window, but in fact they're just seeing the curvature of the glass.
How am I going to get out of this? Think.
So the plain and simple truth is that when you're looking out an airplane window, it's not curved and it doesn't give a slight effect that makes the horizon look curved. So the truth is that when you're in an airplane and you're looking out the windows, nothing whatsoever is distorted in any way, shape, or form. So I challenge anyone out there to show me some footage or show us some pictures that aren't photoshopped and some real video footage of an airplane taking off and show us the distortion that you're talking about. You see, because I can pause this video at any time, and does anything look distorted to you? Not to me. So anyone, please make a video and show and disprove anything that I've said so far in this video. So this is exactly why they can't stop and show you any real footage of distortion that is causing our eyes to see a round, curved, spherical Earth. So that's exactly why they did not show you any real footage with actual airplane video footage or picture footage from airplanes, because what they said was not true whatsoever. So anyone that flies a lot or has even flown in the air before will know that when you get high in the sky, 35 to 40,000 feet, the Earth definitely looks curved. So I've flown a lot, and my wife was a airline stewardess for an airliner, so anyone that flies a lot without question knows the Earth is round. And anyone that flies at all will know without question that nothing whatsoever is distorted out of the window. The jet looks normal, the jet engine, it's nice and round. You can see how the plane wing is normal, the city below is all normal, everything is normal, nothing is distorted whatsoever. So once you have reached an altitude and reached a proper perspective in order to view the size ratio of the Earth, you start to see the curvature, which is exactly why, like I said in the first video, that you can zoom way in and line up the pixels on both corners and draw an exact flat line, and every single time you'll notice that the middle will be bulging over the edge of the line because of the curvature of the sphere.
Because the windows are all slightly curved to fit with the fuselage, and when you look at the horizon through a window like that, it does give a slight effect.
So now you understand why they didn't show you any actual footage to back up their assertion and their claim. Because there is no distortion and there is no slight effects of curvature or fisheye, nothing whatsoever. The truth is that when you're in an airplane and you're looking out the window, as you clearly see here, nothing whatsoever is distorted. In fact, everything appears quite normal, as everyone can see, and any videotape that you would take or pictures you would look at are all going to be perfectly normal, because windows in airplanes are not bowed and curved, and they're not distorted and give a fisheye effect whatsoever. That's completely bullshit and not true whatsoever. Another false lie. So when you're in an airplane and you're flying high in the sky and you see the horizon and it looks curved, slightly arced, it's because from your perspective now you're up just high enough. When you're going up like 8 miles in the sky, now your perspective of the globe or the sphere below you, you're starting to see the arc curvature.
Because the windows are all slightly curved to fit with the fuselage, and when you look at the horizon through a window like that, it does give a slight effect.
Oh my God. What are we gonna do? Our car windows are curved. Now we're gonna see distorted images and crash!
It's okay, everyone. Relax. Just because a window is curved like our car windows are, does not mean in any way, shape, or form that it's going to give a distorted image. So don't just listen to what these fools are saying. You have to actually check out the information for yourself. So curved auto windows are completely fine and normal to look out of, and so are airplane windows. Sorry, Eric, but I'm seriously trying to find something that you're right about. But like I said, as I researched and saw your video, everything that you're saying was wrong. Exactly like trying to say that the reason that we see curvature of the Earth in an airplane is because of the curvature of the glass window. Completely misleading the people. Just like when you misled the people and said it doesn't matter how big the ball is, and that the horizon rises up with you to eye level and you don't have to look down to the horizon, which is complete bullshit. Because everyone knows that flies an airplane knows that you have to look down. And that's exactly why airplane windows are designed lower than the head is, because you are always looking down. If you were looking eye level at 90-degree angles, then the airplane window would be higher so that you could see the eye level imagery. But all windows are designed slightly lower so that the passengers can actually view the horizon, which is lower, which is below the wing, which is lower than the plane that you are on, because the earth plane or the flat land plane is below you. Therefore, the horizon, no matter what it looks like to you, never rises. A complete fabrication and misunderstanding of the truth. And so now you have every Tom, Dick, and Harry out there spreading bullshit to the people, completely teaching the opposite of truth, and all that goes against nature and physics. It's amazing how many people out there have actually now convinced themselves that the earth is flat because they're using completely illogical logic to try to figure it out. And the sad thing is that you have people like this who don't even grasp the size ratio dynamics. And if you don't understand about the spherical angle and the arc of a sphere, then rewind this video and learn about the size ratio perspective, which of course not one flat earther has addressed, because if they did, it would crumble their foundation.
Stays at the same level, it has to be flat. It's impossible for there to be a curve in the horizon. So, true Pharisee, house of no wisdom, consider yourself debunked.
Your CGI and distorted imagery is cute, but unfortunately, your logic isn't. It's amazing how many people in this movement just have absolutely no grasp whatsoever of truth and perspective and size ratio, basic, fundamental analysis that anyone should perform before allowing yourself to be led by the Pied Piper to nonsense and bullshit. And so the reason that the flat-faced earthers do not see the truth is because they have a very narrow, thin view, because they have blinders on.
Stays at the same level, it has to be flat. It's impossible for there to be a curve in the horizon.
So, Mr. My Perspective, I will teach you about perspective since you know nothing about it. So since everyone is so confused and blind to the truth, what I did is I took my time and I designed in a 3D program a huge, gigantic sphere, and on that sphere I put a tree and an airplane. And just to show you that this is a huge sphere, and there is a huge 747 airplane on it, I zoom out and I zoom back in to show you that yes, indeed, it is there. And the truth is, the scale is still not even proper. The airplane would be much, much, much smaller. But this was enough to show you the effect. And that perceived effect on the size ratio of being on the Earth, or a sphere, as you pan around, all the way around, you'll see that the horizon appears to be flat. Only when you rise up to a different plane level, to the plane level below you, do you start to gain a perspective and even begin to see any type of curvature of the Earth. And this slight curve, or this spherical curve, is exactly consistent with that which we see from airplanes or high altitudes. So as you clearly see when you stand on a ball and you look around, it is perceived to be flat. So as you see, the explanation of the flat Earth is from natural, normal means, not some supernatural fantasy.
Stays at the same level, it has to be flat.
No, it doesn't.
It's impossible for there to be a curve in the horizon.
It's hilarious listening to you talk about panoramic, flat, fake views that come from the natural, round truth that you and anyone else that is fooled fail to grasp. Do you even understand what a panoramic view is? Obviously not.
Well, then the curve you see is from the camera lens. Well, then the curve you see is from the camera lens.
What you talking about, Willis?
What is it with these guys blaming glass windows for seeing curvature in the Earth, and then this guy is saying that, you know, the curvature of the Earth or the horizon that we see must be due to what? Camera lenses? Are you joking? You mean camera lenses that take perfectly normal pictures all the time but have something against horizons and hate them, so now they're going to bend horizons because they don't like them or something? Camera lenses can pick and choose what they want to distort?
Well, then the curve you see is from the camera lens.
No, it's not.
The only way that you can rotate 360 degrees around you and the horizon stays at the same level, it has to be flat.
No, it doesn't, and that's exactly why the flat horizon that we're panning around right now is from a round spherical globe, not a flat land. So yes, at your size ratio compared to the size of the Earth, it does appear from your perspective to be flat.
And the horizon stays at the same level. It has to be flat.
Then explain how I can zoom in to a spherical object on top of it, pan around, and everything looks perfectly flat. So what you just said is debunked 100%. You are able to stand on a spherical object, look around, and it can appear to be flat. Period. Your shallow grasp came from your lack of understanding of basic principles of size ratio and perspective. And because of this very shallow, thin, and narrow perspective, you should actually change your name from my perspective to not my narrow perspective, but my flat perspective. You want to try me? First you better learn how to think, cause I'm the pinnacle. That means I'm rated supreme, and I'm notorious. I'll crush you like a jelly donut, cause I'm bad. Your license to debunk has been revoked. Like I said, I'm just beginning to drop truth bombs. In part 3, I'll be dropping the nuke.